My cool friend, stay with me because what I'm about to tell you about our forward Lamine Yamal has left the entire fanbase in shock, and it's no exaggeration to say that the atmosphere behind the scenes is filled with tension and an enormous fear that something truly serious is about to happen, especially since extremely worrying news regarding our young star has just been confirmed, news that nobody wanted to hear, particularly at such an unstable moment for Barcelona, where every available player makes a huge difference in the team's performance. That's why I need to explain everything carefully, because Lamine Yamal's immediate future could completely change the course of the season and even influence important internal decisions regarding squad rotation, tactical planning, and potential emergency signings. As you already know, for weeks Lamine Yamal has been dealing with an injury that was never fully healed, a persistent problem that keeps returning, and yet he has been repeatedly called up and played as a starter, generating even more physical and emotional strain for such a young player who, instead of being protected, is being pushed harder and harder through a heavy schedule of matches. This insistence on playing him without being 100% fit has only worsened the situation because, in multiple games, he left complaining of pain, and shortly after, it was confirmed that he would need to rest for a few days or even weeks, creating a constant sense of worry within the club that seems at a loss for what to do. The major problem is that this has become almost a vicious cycle. Lamine plays, feels pain, stops for a few days, returns without being fully recovered, feels pain again, steps away again, and this is repeated multiple times in recent months, drastically reducing his performance on the field and generating massive debate among fans, journalists, and even members of the board, because it is clear that his level has dropped significantly, as even when he performs well in one match, the next 5 are often below expectations. This has led to harsh criticism against one of Barcelona's greatest talents, one of the most promising young players in the world, and precisely for this reason, so many people are extremely concerned about his physical condition, fearing that this ongoing cycle of mismanaged injuries could jeopardize his development and confidence in the long term. And now, the worst part is that, despite still feeling pain, Lamine Yamal has been called up again for the next match, and given the absurd number of injuries in the squad, it is almost certain he will start once again, even without being in his best physical condition, which increases the risk of worsening the injury and forcing a scenario nobody wants to imagine. In the past hours, it has been confirmed that if he continues feeling pain after the next game, the medical team will have no choice but to recommend surgery, which would be catastrophic for Barcelona, because it would mean months of recovery, months away from the pitch, months of uncertainty regarding his return, and the worst part, there is a real risk he might never return to his previous level, something that puts his entire career at a delicate crossroads, especially considering his age, his development process, and the enormous pressure already placed on him on the field. To make matters worse, it was confirmed that during today's training, Lamine clearly showed discomfort and even spoke with coach Hansi Flick, showing his concern, but since the coach did not announce his absence for the next game, everything indicates he will play and likely start, leaving many fans outraged because it is evident that Barcelona is putting the player at risk simply because there are no other options available in the squad, which could have a high cost later, both sportingly and regarding the development of one of the academy's brightest talents. So I want to ask you directly, in your honest opinion, do you think Barcelona should stop insisting and let Lamine fully recover before returning to play? Or do you think the risk is worth taking considering the crisis in the squad and his importance to the team? Do you also agree that his level has dropped significantly due to this poorly healed injury? Let me know in the comments because I'm very curious to see how you view this delicate situation that is so decisive for the future of our star. Now stay with me because the situation does not stop there, and if Lamine Yamal's case already had the CULÉS fans boiling, the next topic has managed to frustrate even more supporters, as it involves another major controversy within Barcelona, this time concerning yet another player who has become the primary target of heavy criticism, generating debates, divisions, and a great deal of unrest among the fans, because it is no longer possible to ignore the extent of the defensive crisis the club is experiencing, one of the worst in recent years, directly tied to the individual performances of our defenders, who appear increasingly insecure, nervous, and even disconnected from what is expected from players wearing such a heavy and prestigious jersey as Barca. This instability not only affects match results but also the overall morale of the team, creating a tense environment where every defensive action can make or break a game, adding enormous pressure on both players and coaching staff, as every decision on the pitch now carries potentially enormous consequences for the team's confidence and season objectives. As everyone saw in the last match, players like Ronald Araujo and Jules Kounde have been heavily criticized, some even held responsible for the most serious defensive errors, and many fans are already openly demanding their sale in the next transfer window, arguing that Barcelona can no longer rely on players who repeatedly make decisive mistakes, especially as these errors are not isolated incidents but recurring problems that have already cost critical points and even painful eliminations. Now, another name has entered the spotlight: Alejandro Balde, our starting left-back, who has increasingly become one of the most scrutinized players in the squad. Many supporters say Balde is playing well below expectations this season, that his performance has dropped sharply over the last months, and that he is no longer the firm, quick, and reliable left-back who impressed all of Europe when he first emerged. What makes it even more concerning is that this is not just a matter of isolated opinions, it reflects a general perception from the fans, the media, and even some analysts, who believe he is failing to maintain the level required, with defensive mistakes directly impacting the team's performance in big matches and even in games that should have been comfortable wins. Criticism is not limited to the stands, as a significant part of the fanbase even claims that Gerard Martin, a substitute, has been more reliable than Balde, which would have been unthinkable a few months ago but has now become a real topic of discussion among CULÉS, further highlighting the lack of depth and cohesion in Barcelona's defensive setup. The left flank, like the right, has become a consistent weakness, leaving Barcelona vulnerable on both sides, increasing the likelihood of conceding goals, losing crucial games, and potentially compromising the entire season, and this vulnerability is now shaping the tactical decisions of the coach, who must constantly adapt to compensate for these gaps. Despite Balde being recognized as a highly offensive left-back, capable of joining attacks and creating opportunities, many believe his defensive fragility has been a major problem, as he leaves spaces, mispositions himself, and allows opponents to create dangerous plays, often at the most critical moments when concentration is essential. With Kounde inconsistent, Araujo criticized, Cancelo irregular, and now Balde declining, Barcelona's defense has become total chaos, a system that no longer provides security, turning every match, even against theoretically weaker teams, into a constant struggle for fans, as nobody knows where the next error will appear or which isolated play might cost points. So I want to know your opinion. Do you also think Balde has dropped in performance in recent months? Do you feel the left-back position has become a weak point weighing heavily on the team's results? And most importantly, do you believe Barcelona should sign a new left-back in the next transfer window to reinforce the position and increase competitiveness? Let me know in the comments because I want to hear if you agree with this perspective and how you see Balde's future at Barcelona. See you in the next video.